Hi friends, welcome back to Live Before You Die channel. My name is Vipul and today we'll be talking about Karma Yoga chapter 2, which is each is great at its own place, from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. As per ancient Hindu scriptures, Hindu system has been divided into four different stages. Hindu man begins his life as a student, then he gets married and starts his life as a household, then he retires, and lastly he gives up the world and starts his life as a sannyasi or a monk. And at a later stage, these four stages were reduced to two, that of a householder and of a monk. And each of these stages had certain duties attached to it. And none of these stages is superior than any other. The life of a married man is as great as the life of a celibate who has dedicated his life towards the religious work. Similarly, the life of a scavenger working on a street is as great and as glorious as the king on his throne. Next, Swamiji explains that what a householder has to do, what are his duties. So what he says is, the householder should be devoted to God and his aim in life should be the knowledge of God. Yet he must perform all his duties well and leave the fruit of the action to the God. A householder should not earn his living by saying lies or by cheating anyone or by robbing anyone. He should understand that his life should be dedicated to the service of God and to the service of poor. A householder should always please his mother and his father, and that is the way to please God. A householder should never ever scold his wife, and he should always respect his wife and treat her as equal, and in under no circumstances he should vent out his anger on his wife. A man should remain faithful towards his wife. And next Swamiji says, the man who has succeeded in getting the love of a chaste wife has succeeded in his religions. Sons and daughters should be treated as equal, and excessive attachment towards food, towards clothing, towards body should be avoided. A householder who performs his duty well and dedicate his actions to God's goes towards the same goal as of a greatest yogi. Hence, monk and a householder are both great at their own place. Now, in order to explain it further, Swamiji explains this through a story. So what happened was, there lived a king who had the same question in his mind, that whether it's the householder or it's the monk who is greatest. So he asked his minister that to give him the answer that who is greater. So some of the ministers said that it's the householder that is greater, and some of them told him that it's the monk who is greater. The king asked them for the proofs, if they are able to give him the proof that which one is greater. And nobody, absolutely nobody was able to convince the king that who is greater. One day what happened was, a sannyasi, a monk came to him and he told king, okay, I have the answer and I can give you the answer, but to get that answer you have to come with me and I'll explain it to you. Since the king was very curious about the answer, he agreed to whatever monk said and he agreed to go with him. So on their way, the king and the monk saw a princess who was wanting to get married through swayamvar. Swayamvar was an ancient Indian traditional practice wherein the princesses used to choose the husband of their choice. So now this princess had rejected many of the deserving candidates, which included many of the kings. So what happened was, there was a sannyasi going through, and princess saw that sannyasi, and that sannyasi was very handsome, and princess fell in love with that sannyasi. And what she did was she threw the garland to that sannyasi. And what sannyasi did was he threw up the garland and he told princess what is she doing? What are her intention? He is a sannyasi and he is not here to get married. So the father of the princess, who was a king, he thought that this sannyasi doesn't know anything about Swayamvar and he doesn't know that what he is going to get. So he informed that sannyasi, "Oh sannyasi, go and marry my daughter and you get half of my kingdom." To which this sannyasi replied, "What a nonsense," and he walked from that place very quickly. And now the story takes a very interesting turn. The princess told everybody that she has fallen in love with this man and she cannot live without this man, and everybody should go with him in search of that man. So the princess and the soldiers went after him, but unfortunately they could not find him, and it was dark, so they thought that now they should take a shelter under a tree. So now a little bird and his wife were watching this scenario, and the bird said to his wife that these strangers have taken shelters under our tree, and as a householders, it becomes our duty to help them. It's cold and winters, and they need some fire. So let me go and bring out some firewood from the jungle. And that bird went to the jungle, bought some firewood, and dropped in beside those guests. And now the guests were able to light the fire. Now there was another thought that came into the mind of the bird, and that thought was that these strangers are hungry and they should be fed. So he discussed this with his wife that we are the householders and it becomes our prime duty to help these strangers. So what he thought, that is like, let me jump into the fire and become their food, and this way I'll be able to help them. So what he did was he jumped into the fire, and looking at this, the wife thought that one bird won't be enough. So she also jumped into the fire to become the food for the strangers. However, these guests were not able to eat the birds and passed the night without food and went away. So now the sannyasi told the king that, see, everyone is great at his own place. If you want to be a householder, then be like these birds. Be ready to sacrifice your life towards the welfare of others. And if you want to renounce, then be like that sannyasi for whom half of the kingdom and the most beautiful princess was nothing. So each is great at its own place, but the duty of one is not the duty of another. So with this, we are coming to the end of this video. I hope you like this video. This is Vipul signing off till we meet again.